Hello, everybody. Welcome to my lunchtime chat that is sponsored by Our Black Hair Matters. And today, it is my mission to convince you to stop being deceived so that you can demand to know how to have hair products be tested. That is extremely important. If you know me, I am all about the data. And so this is a continuation, so to speak, of one of my chats that I had a few weeks ago. And I gave the title of that particular chat was Shocking Hair Industry Revelations That Will Make You Mad. And the reason why I had that is because I really wanted to have you learn a little bit more about new research that had come out that has suggested that some of the ingredients that's in products can affect our health in a negative way. I also provided information about what happens during hair testing and why some product claims are not valid. And then I also went over what is being ignored by hair care researchers and why it can lead us to waste money on products. So the thing is, I had a viewer by the name of Joyce Norman, and she was one of our viewers on YouTube. And she asked some relevant follow-up questions. And specifically, she asked, as a consumer, let me read this, as a consumer or non-practitioner, how do I ask questions or make demands? Do I email, snail mail, or call? And then who would you contact? And so is there a coalition? My voice alone lacks the same impact as that of a group, right? And so that is what I'm going to answer today. But before I do that, let me introduce myself just in case there are people on here who have no idea who I am. My name is Dr. Crystal Porter, and I am a hair scientist and owner of Main Insights, which is a company that conducts research. This is a live online broadcast platform that is dedicated to elevating the Black hair care industry and empowering consumers and hair professionals with education that is driven and backed by scientific research. I'm really passionate about this, and it's the main reason why I also assist hair practitioners in getting data to validate their hair services. All right, so before I get started, I just want to know who is out there. Please put your name in the chat. I see Taria. She says, great day, everyone. Thanks for joining. And I'm also curious about, who you are. Let me know where you're from. If you are a hair practitioner, because those of you who know me know that I am a hair practitioner advocate, I want you to put the number 1 in the comments. If you are a consumer, put the number 2. And if you are a researcher or a scientist, just like me, put the number 3. The other thing that I would love for you to do is share this broadcast. If you think that there is information that would be relevant for your friends and family, would love for you to share it. And so before I get started, there's one other thing I want to do. I want to make sure that you are in the right place. So if you are frustrated with the lack of information available to you when it comes to caring for your hair, and you've wasted a lot of money, time, and resources, please let me know. But if you have answered yes to that, you are definitely in the right place. And that is why we have created the Our Black Hair Matters movement. And so if you have any questions about what it is that you should be doing to care for your hair, I do have a resource for you called The 3 Biggest Mistakes to Avoid When Caring for Your Curly Hair. And you will get it by actually going to, oh, there it is on the screen. So ourblackhairmatters.com. And if you are a consumer and you have a pressing concern or you need to have a conversation, I do have my team member standing by, and you can schedule a 15-minute consultation by going to bit.ly/OBHM consult. And that should come up on the screen in a moment as well. So without further ado, I am going to go ahead and get started, but I see I have someone. You are only identified as Facebook user, but you said good morning. So thank you for joining. And then I have Margaret. All right. Hello, Dr. Porter. This is Margaret. You are number 3. Yes, you are a hair scientist, just like I am. Awesome. And those of you who join, oh, Renee, you're here too. There's another Facebook user who is also a hair practitioner. So another, yeah, we have them popping up now. Different Facebook users. Put your name in. I don't know why sometimes it gives me the names of the Facebook users. I think sometimes it's a permissions issue. So StreamYard is where I stream from. And so if you don't have permissions set where Facebook would recognize your name, then it won't come up. It'll just come up as Facebook user. So glad to have you all on Facebook. There are also some people who join on YouTube. So hello to you as well. And that's where Joyce came from. And so we have Shania Simone. All right. Thanks for letting me know who you are. Excellent. All right. So, gonna get started because I think that people really do express that they care a lot about their hair. And I really do feel that it's important that we get some of these answers about what's going on with products, but also demand from a lot of hair practitioners who sell products, but also manufacturers and just people who are making product. We really need to get more information, and there needs to be ammunition so you can stop wasting your money. And so we want to be educated consumers, right? And know that what we are purchasing is good for us, and make sure that the information that we're receiving about it isn't misleading. And so in another live that I did, I really was talking about shocking hair industry revelations that will make you mad, right? And so I talked about how the testing that's done isn't necessarily relevant for Black hair, meaning hair of from people of African descent, or sometimes there's no testing at all. And either way, that's not cool and it's unacceptable. And the reason why I was saying that it should make you mad is because we as consumers have special needs. Being a Black woman in particular, if we have any link to our hair, it really adds to the amount of issues that we may have. And so we want to make sure that there is information and testing that's relevant to make sure what we're buying is good. And so in that shocking hair industry revelations, I talked about a recent journal article that came out, and it discussed how exposure to phthalates which have been linked to adverse health effects such as respiratory and reproductive problems. That's something that I think we should be mad at and command that there's more research done. Also, we talked about how standard hair testing and why some claims are not valid. But then we also talked about how the majority of hair care scientists are ignoring the fact that, unfortunately, people who are of African descent, such as me, and a lot of times a lot of my viewers out there, we have the most variability in our hair. And that makes sense, right? Because we arguably have probably the most variety in the number of ways that we style our hair. So our hair and the behavior of it is indicative to what we do day in and day out. And so if we braid our hair, that's going to have an effect on it. If we relax our hair, that's going to have an effect. If we relax in color, that's going to have an effect. Depending upon the number of coils and twists that are in the hair, that's going to have an effect. And so all of these variables really mean that our hair should really be studied more, and that just is not the case. And so I'm not going to go into a lot of details about what I said in that, other than what I just said. But if you need a refresher or you missed that particular episode, I definitely invite you to go and watch the recording for more details. So one of the main things that I discuss is that it's up to us to make a difference about asking questions before you make purchases. And if you can make informed decisions, it will really help us as a people, because then we can actually know for sure, okay, they've done their due diligence. So basically what I did was talk about what was needed to be done, but Joyce indicated that I needed to talk a little bit about how it can be done. So in the past, consumers used their purchase powers to make changes. And so now you can see that more products are incorporating some of those things that have been demanded. So for example, you have more products made with natural ingredients. But you also have companies who shy away from animal testing, right? And so they're making products more environmentally friendly or sustainable. And these things are important. And so there are other things that are important. And so just like there were kind of movements to actually get that going and get those changes in the industry done, and that more or less happened more organically, right? So I don't think that it was really a movement to get it done other than people just saying, hey, this is important to me. So that's really what I want us to do. I want us to just make sure that it's more purposeful. And so, in the way that we can do it, in as far as I'm concerned, is just going on ahead and reaching out or asking those difficult questions. And I say it's difficult because sometimes we're not sure about what to ask. And so that's one of the things that I want to go over. I went over it in that previous episode, but I think it's important to really talk more into detail about what that is. So what I talked about was asking the who, what, when, where, how, and why. And so I want to go into detail about that, and then I'm going to talk about how, right? So the who. So who has this product been tested on, right? So is it a consumer panel that they asked questions and then the consumers gave their opinion? That's okay, but we need to know that. But we also need to know if they've done laboratory testing on hair swatches or hair fibers. Were the hair fibers from people of Asian descent, European descent, or of African descent? Because the behavior that they observe and the results that they get is really going to be dictated on the hair that they tested, because it's not all information isn't transferable. So when I say that, it means that if they see that with Caucasian hair that it was an improvement in the hair strand, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be an improvement for someone of African descent. So just getting that clarification allows you to know whether or not they have done their due diligence. So also want to talk about the what test methods was used, right? So were there any safety testing done? So microbial stability testing, was there longitudinal studies to see what would happen long term? So these are things that are extremely important. Hey, Nikisha, I see that you joined me. The other thing which Nikisha, you and I spoke about, because Nikisha was on the chat we had a recording of her last week, but before that, she was supposed to be on when Facebook went down. And so we had a late broadcast of a recording, but she was just on last week again. And so what Nikisha mentioned is GMP, good manufacturing practices. This is something that should be asked as well. Mechanical tests for if they're saying that it's going to make your hair stronger, if it's going to be humidity resistance, if they did what's typical in the industry is something called curl droop. And basically that's the opposite of what we as women of African descent or men of African descent would want. Because while curl droop is something that they do with straight hair and they curl it up, then they put the product on there that's supposed to hold it. And then, of course, as humidity it increases, the curl will actually droop. And so they take a measurement to determine, if it's actually holding or not. For us, it would be the opposite, right? So if we wear our hair straight and we want it to stay straight, in humidity, it actually shrinks. So it's just the opposite. And so knowing these type of tests will allow you to know whether or not it's something that is transferable to us, right? And so Nikisha put, oh, thank you for putting the link in. Really appreciate it. Yeah, so she put in the link of the other episode. So I still have a lot of people who are still Facebook users. So if you want to put those names in, that would be awesome. Okay, and so we talked about the who, what. So now we're talking about when. When was the experiment conducted? Is it old and unrelated to your experiences, or is it up to date and relevant to your specific hair? These are things that are important for us to know. And then, of course, my hashtag is show me the data, right? So then the question about where is the data? Is it something that you can actually get your hands on and review yourself? So is the company transparent so the results can be critiqued? Or are they just relying on ingredient claims that haven't necessarily been substantiated either? So these are things we need to know. And if we hold their feet to the fire, and when I say their feet, I'm talking about anybody who is promoting a product. So whether or not it's a stylist who goes in the back room and has her own concoctions, or if it's a big manufacturer, we need to have that data. So let's go to how. How repeatable are the results? And so anytime in science, you want to make sure that this isn't just a one-time phenomenon. You want to make sure that the results are repeatable, or that they have been repeated on a number of different subjects. And so it's reproducible. And while you may not have the exact same number, you should at least have the same type of trend or direction of the trend. So is the data only on, one hair type, or are there statistics that give an average or a typical range of what would be expected? So now we're at why. Why is your product better? So is it better under specific conditions or protocols? I mean, do you have to go about following directions like staying within a particular brand line and then use the protocol that they have, like use this particular shampoo first, use this recommended conditioner afterwards, and then if there is a leave-in conditioner, so I was talking about rinse out conditioner, is there a leave-in conditioner and other products that will actually react in a way that is synergistic? That's something that's extremely important to know. Also, is it typical for consumers or professional use? So nowadays you can go on Amazon and get all kinds of products. I don't necessarily recommend that because it's not guaranteed that you are getting what you think you're paying for. But a lot of people are always trying to save $1. But a lot of times you can, buy professional products as a consumer. So you need to know, is it for a consumer or is it for a professional, and definitely use it as directed. All right. And so I know I went over all these questions, and I promise you that I will post the questions on the Our Black Hair Matters movement page, also on Instagram. And so if you didn't catch all that, it's okay. I'm going to post it. Also, I'll post it on YouTube as well, just in case some people want to look at it from that. So after I gave that information, not in all those details, but I did go on and on about how it's up to us to be able to make companies or different people who are making these products, make them do the testing, right? And so I'm thrilled that my broadcast motivated Joyce to ask specific questions about, who should we actually go to and how. And so I'll repeat what Joyce, her questions were. And so the first was, as a consumer or practitioner, how do I ask questions or make demands? And so I didn't want to promote any brands. I wanted to make it very general. So I have my Comet bottle, right? So whoops, here, this is Comet. And on the back, you can see that there is a place where you can actually go. And on this particular product, they actually have a 1-800 number or 188 number, I think. And so on a lot of products, on the back of the label, you can get information about how to reach out to them. Now, I know I have this Comet spray bottle. Like I said, I didn't want to put any hair products out there, but depending upon the manufacturer, there may not be a number, but they always say what the company is or was that actually made the product. And then they always have a website. So if there is not an 800 number that you can reach out to, because she wanted to know Can you email, snail mail, call, or who? So who is the manufacturer that is on the label? Go to the website or call the 800 number. You can reach out whatever way that they make it available for you to do, basically. So if they provide an email on their website, you can send them an email. Sometimes they just have a contact us form where you actually fill the information out and then you can ask your question. I know that for both Unilever and L'Oreal, which are the two companies that I worked for previously, they both had 1-800 numbers or some toll-free number that you can call. So if there were any concerns or adverse reactions and you needed to get more information, it was available for you to do so. So that is something that you can do. So whatever you feel comfortable with is fine. And so she is a consumer, but this is something that's relevant even for a practitioner. I do know that a lot of practitioners complain about the fact that manufacturers aren't giving any education about the products as readily as they used to because they're relying on a lot of the influencers to do that, which is really unfortunate. But if you have any questions, and I think you should be demanding of these questions, then you need to reach out and do that as well. And I always talk about consumers who actually utilize hairstylists to go get their hair done. I do believe that these are questions that should be asked because as a consumer of even having services done as a client, you should know exactly what's being done to your hair and if the product that's being used has been vetted in such a way that the stylist has this information. So if you rely on a professional to do your hair, these are questions that should be asked of your professionals. And so I want to make sure that I don't have any other questions. Nikisha said bingo. Thank you so much. Taria, thank you for putting my hashtag in, show me the data. That's awesome. And, you know, there are other ways that you can reach out other than the product. So want to talk about Facebook. Most product companies or businesses have Facebook accounts. So if you want to just slide into their DM, their direct messenger, and put in a question, then that's something that they would probably respond to. Also, the thing that I'm seeing a lot of movement is with LinkedIn. A lot of manufacturers and different companies and businesses are on LinkedIn. So if you want to ask a question through LinkedIn personally or just on their page, that's something that they can do. And I have seen a lot of different companies respond. So LinkedIn is a good way as well. Of course, there are other social media platforms such as Twitter. They are very active with Twitter. So if you ask a question or say something, they don't want bad press out there. So they would probably do that. Also, make sure when you reach out to them, unless it's public like Twitter, but if you go into a private messenger or you go into a contact us form, make sure that you ask them to reach out to you and you provide your contact information because they would be more likely to respond if they actually have a way to reach out to you. So just putting it on the platform, they may not want to be forthcoming, but that's something that you want to make sure that you do. Instagram, a lot of companies are on Instagram, but also making sure that you use hashtags. So if the I'm not going to name any particular names, but if the company name is the best hair product, you can just hashtag the best hair product. And so they would more than likely see it. But if you tag them as well, so tagging is a mechanism where it highlights the company within the message or on the page. So tagging them to make sure that you get their attention, that's another way that you can do it. Now, once again, I am going to post these particular questions after I am off of the broadcast, but whatever question that is relevant, so it doesn't have to be specific to what I said, but it has to be related to whatever it is you're concerned about. And the thing is, in elevating the industry, we have to hold everybody accountable and to make sure that they're doing their due diligence. So if there are any questions regarding that, I am definitely here to ask or answer. Taria says that's a great suggestion. Most companies have social pages, yes. And then Taria says Twitter for managing brand reputation. Yes. And that is something that is used. And so I'm going to give a little bit more information about something else. So if you have any questions, feel free to come in and ask questions before I end the broadcast, because I'm actually going to start making these a little shorter. I know people sometimes like a lot of information, but if I'm not doing an interview, I think having like small snippets of information may be more valuable. So that is something that I'm going to start doing. So I know I usually have like 3 bullet points, and this time I just wanted to make sure that I gave you information on one particular point. But while I'm waiting on questions, I do want to give an update about some of the activities that I've been participating in. So I had a recording of Nikisha's interview last week because I was actually at Premiere Orlando, and that is like one of the most popular beauty events in the industry for beauty. And it was really nice. I was able to give 3 classes, and I was discussing things that are really important, particularly to me, which is like moving beyond cosmetic fixes to science-based hair remedies. And that's something that is based on just wanting to go beyond what is typically done right now. We really need to move into a direction where things are more science-based and utilize the advancements in technologies that have been made over the years. And so it's also consistent with my battle cry of show me the data, right? Because we need more data to advance the industry. So it was really wonderful to get back out with my professionals. I call them my people. As an advocate for hair professionals, I really do feel connected to those who are striving to learn more and do more. And so it made me, it kind of sparked one of those, it sparked me to want to introduce my course that I have had since 2015, actually. So it's been 6 years. It's been a while, but it has really taken off and been modified somewhat. And so it's a course that's designed for hair professionals to use. And you want to just leverage your experience and your expertise to really help elevate the industry and become a hair researcher. And so I had it to be launched. I was going to do it on the 1st of November, and I had some technical difficulties. And so I decided I'm actually going to start it on the 8th. But what I decided to do instead is to have a free webinar so that you can learn more about what it is on November 1st. And so I'm going to have a page where you'll be able to register. I'll have that on my social media platforms by the end of today. But I really do miss interacting with serious and conscientious hair practitioners. So I'm excited to be doing a live class again. And it's been a while. It's been at least 3 years since I've done a live class. And even though it's going to be virtual, I'll have the opportunity to add in some additional information, but also connect with people again and be able to answer questions. So if you are interested and you are like here right now, you can put the number 5 in the chat, or you can send me a message and saying, hey, I'm out here and I'm interested. But I will be putting information about how to register for the free webinar by the end of the day. So let me make sure that there aren't any other questions that I've missed. All right, thanks, Taria. Glad to see you're interested. And all right, I don't see any other questions. So thank you guys for joining me. I know your time is valuable. And as always, remember that our Black hair matters, and take care and love your hair. Bye-bye.